Your competitor just launched. Better product, better design, more features. And your first thought isn't, how do we compete? Your first thought is, look who's on their team. This is verse 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, and it's about the exact moment comparison replaces strategy. When listing their advantages becomes your excuse for inaction. They have ex-Google engineers on their team. They raised $50 million. Their CEO has connections in the valley I don't have. How am I supposed to compete with that? And the moment you ask that question, you've already lost. Because it's not a real question. It's a statement dressed as a question. I can't compete. This is the advantage comparison trap, and it's 5,000 years old. Let me show you where it comes from and why you fall into it every single time you face competition. The Bhagavad Gita, written 5,000 years ago, and in verse 4 it captures the exact psychology you just experienced. A prince named Duryodhana sees the massive enemy army. He already magnified the threat in verse 3, but now, in verse 4, he does something more revealing. He starts listing names. Look at these warriors, Duryodhana, Virata, Drupada. He's not analyzing battle strategy, he's pointing at individuals, specific warriors, like you pointing at specific engineers on your competitor's About Us page. But here's the twist. These warriors he's listing, they were all trained by Drona, the same teacher standing right next to Duryodhana. The same training, the same resources, the same mentor. But in his mind, they're different. They had something he didn't. Drona trained them all, including Duryodhana. But when you're seeking validation and magnifying threats, facts don't matter. Perception does. And this is exactly what you do. You had resources, training, opportunities. But when comparing yourself to competitors, you reframe their advantages as superior to yours. You look at their team page. They have ex-FAANG engineers. Look at their backgrounds. Stanford, MIT, they worked at Meta. I went to a state school. My team worked at startups no one's heard of. How can we compete? You're listing advantages, not analyzing strategy. Comparison, not competition. They raised 50 million. You raised 2. They can outspend us on marketing, on talent, on everything. True, but that's analysis only if it leads to strategy. If it leads to, we can't compete, it's just justification. The comparison drains you. You started with energy, a product to build, a market to win. But after listing their advantages, you're deflated. The fight feels over before it started. This isn't just work, it's relationships too. You see a couple that seems happy, and instead of working on your own relationship, you list their advantages. They met in college, they had more time to build a foundation. Her family is supportive, mine wasn't. They don't have kids yet. That's why it's easier. They have better communication. They probably learned it from their parents. I didn't have that model. Every advantage you attribute to them is a reason you don't need to try as hard in your own relationship. Here's a geopolitical example. February 2022. Ukraine faces Russia. Every analyst lists Russia's advantages. Second largest military in the world, hypersonic missiles, energy leverage over Europe, superior numbers, superior equipment. All true, all facts. But if Ukraine had stopped at that comparison and said, we can't compete, the war would have been over in 3 days. Instead, they acted, adapted, found asymmetric leverage. Comparison didn't stop them, it informed their strategy. Or take AI in 2024. OpenAI has billions from Microsoft and the best researchers. Google has decades of AI work and compute infrastructure. Meta has data from billions of users. If you're a small AI startup, listing these advantages should end your journey, right? But small AI startups aren't giving up. They're finding niches, building specialized tools, moving faster. Comparison could have stopped them, but they turned it into strategy. We can't compete on scale, so we'll compete on focus. But most of us don't do that. We scroll social media, see someone's success, and immediately list their advantages. They started with a following. They had money to invest up front. They have a team. I'm solo. They had connections. They went to the right school. They knew the right people. Every advantage you list is one more reason you don't need to push as hard. They had it easier. I don't have those resources, so my results can't be expected to match theirs. This is the trap. You're not wrong. They might have had advantages, but you're using that truth to avoid action. Duryodhana in 3000 BCE. You in 2024 CE. Same pattern. He lists warriors trained by his own teacher and calls them advantages he doesn't have. You list competitors with resources similar to yours and call them advantages you don't have. 5,000 years, identical psychology. Here's the teaching. Comparison isn't analysis. It's justification. When you list their advantages, you're not strategizing. You're building a case for why you can't compete. And once that case is strong enough, you stop trying. The trap closes. You close your laptop, turn off the screen. The comparison has done its job. You don't need to fight. They have advantages you don't. The outcome is predetermined. Inaction is justified. Duryodhana is still pointing, still listing, still comparing. Not once does he ask, how do we win? He's already decided the answer is, we can't. Because look who they have. So here's the question. How often do you do this? How often do you see someone succeed and immediately list the advantages they had that you don't? How often does comparison stop you before you even start? The pattern is 5,000 years old, and you fall into it every single day. This is verse 4. The advantage comparison trap. Next verse? Duryodhana finally reveals what he's really afraid of, and it's not the warriors, it's something much closer. Verse 5 next. If this pattern hit home, subscribe. Drop a comment with one advantage you've been attributing to someone else.